In the nursing home, I heard the aide tell her coworker, "Don't report the fall, just say she was confused." I was visiting my grandmother at Meadowbrook Care Center when I heard those words through the door of her room. I'd arrived early because traffic was lighter than expected and walked in just as the day shift was ending. Two aides were standing over my grandmother's bed, and she was lying there with blood crusted under her nose and a bruise forming on her temple. The younger aide, Christina, was holding an incident report form, but hadn't written anything yet. The older one, Janet, took the paper from her hands and ripped it in half. "Don't report the fall, just say she was confused." My grandmother's eyes were closed, but I could see her chest rising and falling. She was alive, but something was very wrong. Janet noticed me in the doorway and her face went pale. Christina started crying immediately. I asked what happened to my grandmother, and Janet put on this fake concerned voice. "Oh, honey, your grandma had a little episode this morning, got disoriented and thought she saw something that wasn't there. We've been monitoring her, but she's fine now." I walked closer to the bed and saw the bruise was deep purple and spreading. There was dried blood on her pillow. I asked how she got the bruise, if she was just confused, and Janet's story started changing. "Well, she did stumble a bit when we were helping her to the bathroom. Nothing serious. Happens all the time with dementia patients. They lose their balance. But my grandmother didn't have dementia. She had a broken hip from last year that limited her mobility, but her mind was sharp. She did crossword puzzles every morning and called me 3 times a week to discuss politics." Christina was sobbing now, and Janet shot her a look that could kill. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I asked them to explain again exactly what happened. Janet's face changed completely. She stopped trying to sound caring and her voice went cold. "You need to leave. Visiting hours don't start for another 30 minutes and you're disturbing the residents." I didn't move. I asked Christina directly what happened to my grandmother. The girl was maybe 20 years old and shaking. She looked at Janet and then at me and just broke. She fell. Mrs. Bishop fell trying to reach her call button because no one answered it for 15 minutes. She hit her head on the bed frame and landed on the floor. We found her 10 minutes later. Janet tried to cut her off, but Christina kept talking through tears. Janet said if we report it, administration will blame us for not responding fast enough. She said we'd both lose our jobs and face legal action. She made me help clean up the blood before anyone saw. I asked how long my grandmother had been lying there injured, and Christina said at least 25 minutes before they found her. Maybe longer. Janet grabbed Christina's arm hard. "Shut up right now. You have no idea what you're talking about. This confused old woman fell because she's unstable. That's what the chart will say." I asked to see my grandmother's chart, and Janet refused. Said it was confidential medical information and I had no right to it, even though I was listed as her primary emergency contact and had medical power of attorney. I called 911 right there in the room. Janet tried to take my phone, but I stepped back. The operator asked what my emergency was, and I explained everything I'd heard and seen. They dispatched an ambulance and police. Janet and Christina both went silent. My grandmother's eyes opened slightly and she whispered my name. Her words were slurred and she couldn't move her right arm. The paramedics arrived in 8 minutes and immediately said she showed signs of a stroke. They asked when the fall occurred, and Janet claimed it was 5 minutes ago. Christina shook her head and said no, it was over an hour ago. The paramedics looked horrified because every minute matters with strokes, and this woman had been lying there for over an hour with potential brain bleeding while staff covered it up. The police took statements from both aides. Christina admitted everything and showed them the surveillance camera locations that would have footage of my grandmother pressing her call button repeatedly and lying on the floor. Janet tried to say Christina was lying, but when police pulled the footage, it showed exactly what Christina described.